What's going on, guys? I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Instead of the detailing videos, I'm actually going to introduce all of you to my fleet, because my whole goal is to find unique cars or cars with unique features and bring them to this channel and restore them, detail them, either bring them back to original quality or mod them. So I can't really start that process until I show you guys a rundown of everything about my cars. Keys. Ah, there we go. There's one. Beamer key. Ah, there we go. Couldn't find my other keys, but I think I leave that in my Beamer just so I don't get locked out. So hopefully they're in there. Haha, I got it. First, we have a 2008 BMW X3 30Si in a manual transmission. And this car is one of my favorites. Second, we have an 03 Nissan 350Z in an automatic, and I picked this up for $4,500. And third, my prized possession, a 2005 Chrysler Crossfire SRT6. And fourth, and no one cares about this one, this is my 07 Honda Odyssey that I'm about to get rid of. I also had a blue van right here that I flipped, so I'm so happy that's out of the way. So first off, we're gonna start off with my 08 BMW X3 30Si. I originally picked this up in New Hampshire. I live in Massachusetts, so it was about an hour drive from me. When I got it, it was not in this state at all. I'll actually show you the picture right here. The guy that I got it from actually had records of him doing all the preventative maintenance, like the water pump, thermostat, injectors, spark plugs, runner valves, and even the drivetrain. Now you're probably thinking there's a catch here, and there kind of was. I mean, $1,900 for something that looks this great, it's kind of too good to be true. So the one thing that I do have to do to this car is valve covers. Usually when a valve cover's bad, it's not actually the valve cover, it's just the valve cover gasket. But this guy says the valve cover is actually cracked. So when I start it, I usually have to rev it up a bunch until I drop the RPMs and it will actually idle fine. But if I just regularly start it, it will just drop down and die on me. This is the valve cover assembly right here. Thankfully, it's not a hard job, and I'm actually going to be documenting it in a different video of me replacing them. A good aluminum valve cover runs you about $150, but if it's just the gasket, about $30, $40. I originally bought this car to flip, but now that I'm about to start YouTube, I really want to grow the channel with this car. So far, I've done a full paint correction on this car. Headlight restoration. I threw on the rotiforms and blacked out the grills. Also, can't forget the muffler delete. I was originally going to start from scratch and make videos of building this car from the bottom up, but I got impatient and I did it anyway. That being said, there's still a lot of things I want to do to this car. Alrighty, let's check out the interior. It's got the beige interior, kind of like an off-white tan color. I like it. Not my first choice, but you don't really have a big choice when you're spending $1,900. But right here is where the magic is. Alrighty, this car is powered by a 3-liter inline 6 that makes 260 horsepower and 225 pound-feet of torque. It's a 24 valve with double overhead cam and variable valve timing. And it also has the stage 3 intake manifold. So that's pretty much the only difference from N51 and the N52. If you look at the 3 Series, the sedan version, It's a 328 and a 330. So the 328 has the 226 horsepower motor with the downgraded manifold, and the 330 makes the 260 with the upgraded stage 3 manifold, which this car has. So some of the features this car has, it has a HD radio. The stereo in this car is actually really good. I don't know what brand it is, but it bumps. It really does bump. It's got 3 levels of heated seating. It's got, okay, well, someone pointed out that this looks like a duck, and I can't unsee that, so that pisses me off. Don't know what that actually does. I'm going to figure that out for you guys. Traction control, obviously. And then I don't know why there's a button for the tire pressure, but I've pressed it a million times and it does absolutely nothing. Control your screen up here. It's got cruise control. It's got a heated steering wheel, which is like really nice. I did not expect this car to have a heated steering wheel. It's got some nice xenon headlights with fog lights. And my favorite, the panoramic sunroof that actually opens all the way to here. And for the back, nothing really to say other than the weird location for the aux port. When I first got this car, I was like looking all around for it, and I was like, where the hell is this? And turns out it is right here. I thought it was in my glove box because in my 335 and most other BMWs it actually is in there, but for some reason I don't know why it's there. But we got some adjustable headrests. It's also got some nice ambient lighting underneath the door handles. I'll show you a clip right now in the nighttime. Ambient lighting, ambient lighting, ambient lighting, and ambient. It's so dull you can barely even see it on the camera, but there we go. And for the back, this is where all my detail supplies is, so sorry for the mess, but back here, decent amount of space. Obviously there's handles right here so you can retract all of the seats and get some more room. But yeah, just a little bit of nets on the side for some cargo. We got a cigarette lighter back here. That's kind of cool. Another rare part of this car is the paint color. I can't really tell if it's like a gray or a green. I have no idea, but this is what BMW calls it. BMW Highland Grun Metallic. And apparently it's a pretty rare color. So what are my future plans for this car? Well, so far I have my rims of my choice. I really like these rims and I think they're keepers for now. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to drop it on some lowering springs or coilovers, depends what my wallet wants to do, but I'm gonna keep the original paint because this paint's beautiful and it's actually in really good condition. But other than that, I'm gonna tint the windows about 20%. I'm gonna do the taillights probably 35. I'm gonna do a roof rack for my skis, and for engine mods, I'm definitely gonna do headers if I can find them, and then tune it. For right now, those are my plans. There's probably gonna be more down the line, but I want to keep it a surprise for you guys. So now we're going to move on to the other cars, but first an exhaust clip. Alrighty guys, on to my 03 Nissan 350Z. And yes, I know what you're thinking. This car has seen it all. It's a little bit in rough shape, but this is actually not a keeper. This I got primarily for a flip. I did always want to own a 350Z, but more in a manual. Nothing against automatics. I've owned many automatics in my life. Actually, this is my first manual I've ever owned. I bought it with these rims on it. Don't know how I feel about them. I mean, they're not too bad. And the reason it looks pretty good is because it's black on black. But so far, I've done nothing to this car other than restore the headlights. So you're going to be coming along with me and fully doing a paint correction on this car, detailing the interior and fixing what's got to be done to the engine. Welcome to Nissan's most famous 3.5 liter V6. In this variant, it makes 287 horsepower. This is the DE motor with the single intake. So a couple things have to be done to this car. One, a speed sensor. That's in the back left tire. The speedometer doesn't work right now. The RPM gauge does, but the speedometer doesn't. So that needs to be done. Second, the ECM might have to be replaced. There's a lot of sensors in these motors, and I'm getting almost 10 different codes for 10 different sensors. But I'm getting it checked out tomorrow at my favorite shop that I always bring it to, and he does free diagnostics. So once I know fully what's wrong with it, I'm gonna dive into the motor, either pay him to do it, or you guys are gonna come along with me and we're gonna do a series of working on the motor a little bit. Then I'm gonna dive into the paint and make the car look beautiful, and then you're gonna come along with me for the sale of the car. And hopefully we can flip it. I got it for $4,000, so. And for the interior, I think it's one trim under the full package. It's got the leather seats that are actually in pretty decent condition. Nothing much to see in these interiors though. They're pretty enthusiast base and bare bone. But I love the cluster in the 350Z. It's just so in your face and so retro and cool looking. We got our oil gauge and our volts gauge, and the cool thing about this left one is it actually shows your miles per hour. Believe it or not, this Z actually has 2 functioning windows, which if you guys know anything about VQs, these motors go out like crazy. So let's cross our fingers that they don't break. The only flaw I can really say about this car is that it only has one cup holder that doesn't really function. And this cigarette lighter is all the way in the back, which is just kind of a weird location. And if I were to keep this car, I would definitely upgrade the stereo because the stock stereo is trashed. The car is, for the most part, stock, but it's got some things. So it's got the ESR rims, which are fine. And then it's got the Nismo style taillights, which I'm not the biggest fan of them, but they look fine. Then we got a huge exhaust system from Forza Tuning. I've never actually heard of that brand, but it sounds pretty good. It's not loud whatsoever. But I don't want to go too far on this car because I'm not keeping it and I don't want you guys to get attached to it. So I'll just do a startup video for you and then get to my baby girl. And that's if it starts. Alrighty guys, cross your fingers. As you guys can probably tell, it has an exhaust leak, and you can probably hear the power steering pump whine like crazy, but there's no buts. I just have a lot of work to do. And now for my prized possession. I love this car. I've wanted one of these since I was a little kid. I used to vacation at a little cottage in Florida, and there was a guy that owned one right down the street, and I would drive by on my scooter every morning and just look at it and think how fascinating and how different this car is. I know the looks are very suggestive. A lot of people don't like them. Some people refer to it as a dog that is taking a poop. I would like to refer to it as my beautiful angel. But you know, not all rare cars are pretty. I think from the front, this car looks great. It would obviously look a lot better if it was painted, but the back is where people get a little mixed up. But to me, honestly, the back still looks great. Very juicy. It's got some nice hips. So the story behind this car is it was owned by someone who owned the first Jeep dealership in Boston. Then it was moved to a woman that owned it and took all of the plaques off the car. Then it moved to a guy that let it sit for like almost 5 years until I picked it up. So you can pick one of these up, a clean example, for about 11 to 13 grand with the miles I have on it. I picked it up with a clean title for 5 grand off this dude. So it is a clean title. You guys can see that obviously that side is painted and this side is not. This is prepped to paint, but an auto body shop did that. Because at one point in time, this car did actually get in an accident, but it was never told to the insurance company. So it still has a clean title. For meat, this car has got 225s in the front and 255s in the back. So it's a staggered setup. And I don't know what, I have never changed the rims or the tires on this car. And the tires kind of look like a drift setup. Look at that tread. And here is where the magic is. This car is powered by a 3.2 liter supercharged V6 that makes 348 horsepower and 360 pound-feet of torque. If you look up the stats on this car, it will come up with 330 horsepower, but it's the same power plant as the SLK32 AMG. Same motor, same transmission. So they changed the numbers a little bit between two cars, so people had a reason to buy the Mercedes over this car. So when I said that lady took the plaque, she literally took the plaque. Usually right here it says the name of the guy that hand built this motor and his signature. That's gone. But at least we got the little AMG right there. So there's a couple things that are wrong with this car. It needs a new engine mount. The thing is so bad. I don't even think the one on the right side even exists, because when you hit the gas and the brake, the whole motor literally lifts up. Second, when I bought it, it had a functional transmission, but because it's been sitting for a while, I beat on it one of the first nights that I got it with one of my friends, and I went right through the transmission because it didn't have enough fluid. Other than that, I just need to do a paint job on it or wrap it, and this car will be perfect. And for the interior, do not judge me on the snakeskin. I did not do that. That was the guy that owned it before me. So we got some nice suede Alcantara SRT6 seats that hold you in really, really nice. Just like the 350Z, this has got absolutely no back seats. There was snakeskin all up here. I literally just gutted the interior. I was so done with it. But other than that, there's not a lot of features to this car. I mean, we got the headlights over here. The speedometer goes to 200 miles per hour. Red line's around 6,000. It doesn't need a rev that high because of the supercharger. And other than that, I mean, we got some heated seats, which is pretty nice. The radio in this car is like a classic American Chrysler radio. Super, super bass and like absolutely no treble. Then we got our hazards and we got our traction control. I have absolutely no idea what these buttons do, but I will get back to you on a later date. We got winter mode, which probably does absolutely nothing. Then we got sport mode, which kind of does. We got our window controls right here, plus or minus. You actually shift this way instead of that way. Handbrake, mirror controls, and we got a weird cup holder, which is kind of cool, but it fits like nothing. Unfortunately, we're stuck with this steering wheel unless we have some guy come in and like fully restitch it and everything. But yeah, there's not a lot of aftermarket opportunities for this steering wheel, so we might be stuck with it. So you guys are going to be coming with me with this whole process of this car. This car is bone stock. As of right now, I've only done a headlight restoration to this car. So my future plans for the Crossfire is a lot. I'm definitely gonna throw some tint on it and some taillight tint. And for the color, I'm definitely gonna do like a sunset orange or maybe like a burgundy, like dark red. And for the engine, that's when it gets spicy. For the engine modifications, I'm going to be doing a stage 2 tune with upgraded pulleys and a dual intake system. As of right now, this car has a full catback exhaust, which really helps with the airflow. So that's going to be the starting of my build. These cars can make upwards of 400 to the wheel with a stage 2 tune, which would probably make first and second gear non-usable because it already really isn't. But nonetheless, what you guys have been waiting for, a startup and rev on the Crossfire. I think it sounds really good. I mean, it's a hit or miss with a V6. People straight pipe V6s, they make them sound terrible. This one has a proper exhaust system on it, so sounds pretty good. It's also got a stupid soft limiter on it, so it only lets me rep to like 4 grand, which sucks. But yeah, on to the next car. This is my 07 Honda Odyssey. I got the X3 rims on it right now. This was my detail van for a bit, but originally I got this for just detailing, but now I'm gonna be selling it and just saving my money for later on builds that I'm gonna bring into the channel. I'm happy that I could introduce all the vehicles to you. Really only 2 are staying for now. I mean, the Odyssey and the Nissan are going, but I'm replacing the Nissan with another rare find, but that is for the future and the future only. So I'm happy to think about like what are our possible opportunities and what we could find out there for our replacement for our Nissan 350Z. As always, I hope you guys had a wonderful day. Thank you for watching this video. Please consider subscribing if you like these types of videos, and have a wonderful day.